All right, welcome to the Sushi Forum, where we discuss this week's news, developments, and proposals in the Sushi Swap ecosystem. This week, we will be talking about the bonsai proposal in specific, because the community snapshot, just passed with overwhelming approval, over 95%. This was what I saw. And we've got Alpha Ray on again to talk. So thank you, Alpha Ray, for coming out.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. So Alpha Ray. So I talked with Mac. Yeah, I just had a meeting with him earlier today, and he was unable to make it out to the Sushi Forum because he was talking with another project. But basically, if we, I'm gonna pull up the bonsai proposal from the snapshot. Hold on one second. So first off, is that in for the core proposal, the core team and Mackie are sort of trying to time a couple proposals that are on the table right now, with the official launch of Kashi. So that should happen this week. If it doesn't happen this week, it should absolutely be happening the week after. But it really should be happening this week. From what I know about sort of the state of they're basically just waiting on the formal verification and things like that, and that should be uh, official today. Not today. This week. Sorry. Um, and so they want to time the proposal with the official launch of Kashi. And does that seem good to you and work fine for you guys?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm just wondering if there's gonna be any changes in the proposal.
Yeah. One the only sort of section in particular that I think we wanted to talk about is the sushi incentive section. Um, for instance, so right now written in it, it says you guys were looking at 2,000 allocation points. Um, just for comparison, the Yearn partnership between Sushi and Yearn, Yearn only gets 500 AP in total. So what we were thinking is pulling the 2,000 allocation points back a good bit, back to 250 and 10 pairs just to start as an initial. Um, because like Sushi only has um, in total 10,000 allocation points, and a lot of those are tied up in different in the onsen pair, and then also to other partnerships right now. And it's important not to like over leverage the allocation points for from Sushi's perspective. Um, how does that sound, Alpha? What are your thoughts?
A lot than we were thinking. And there's I could go back and look at the numbers on this. Think so. I thought that sushi had somewhere around 20,000 allocation points.
No, no, it's 10,000.
10,000. Okay, well, that makes sense to cut it down quite a bit. Then.
Yeah, and like I said, like the Yearn partnership, they have 500, and like 250 is a far cry from 2,000, but if things go well, I'm sure the team is fine with like ramping things up if things are going well on the radium front and the bonsai pools.
Yep. So all right, we didn't realize that Urine only had 500 to start because we based it off of the original onsen proposal where they had 2,000. So yeah, that does make sense to not take 2,000 if you guys only have 10,000 allocation points to start with.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. I appreciate you working with us on that. And in terms of like the TVL brackets and stuff like that, that looks fine. That it doesn't there's no issues there on that front. And so you guys had this number of 40 pools. Like what pairs um did you guys think were gonna be there? Because the sushi team was thinking that it would be primarily non-native Ethereum tokens that would be incentivized on Bonsai, and so like the Maps token, Solana, um, Serum, all the non-native tokens would be incentivized, and even looking at Radium, like you know, you guys don't have anywhere close to 40 pools, so like I'm just curious what pools you guys were thinking of filling that up with.
We were so 10 pools is a pretty good number to start, and it would fill up pretty quickly. We were thinking of setting 40 pools as a target, or just having a longer term target for how many pools we want to get up and running, right?
I
We
see.
wouldn't expect to have that many at the start, but just to have that runway and not have to go through too much trouble to approve each pool in the future.
I see. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, but I mean, I mean, I would say, from my opinion, that having a smaller, oh, excuse me, sorry, a smaller selection of pools that are incentivized, that have a higher level of incentivization can actually be a more useful sort of targeted incentive to grow liquidity. Because and I mean, you guys might disagree, but if it's too wide, the pairs that really do matter maybe are not getting the right level of incentivization versus some other competitor or other DeFi location in general. But I mean, I think we could come to agreement that 10 pools is still, a good starting number. Um, yeah, or, open conversation here.
10 pools. I'm just going over the list of pools that we would want to set up. We're, yeah, I don't think we would have 10 pools running for at the start either. At the beginning, right now, I can probably list 8 off the top of my head, but then we would fill up the other 2 probably within the next month or so as well. And then, like, would you guys, how do you guys usually do this? Do you guys do rotations, or will we come back to, if this is going well, come back to a vote and see if we expand it? Or do you have any ideas on the future plans?
Yeah, so the way it normally occurs, I believe, is basically on like a 2-month rolling over basis. Every time a pool is either updated with like a different incentivization weight or given incentives or or applies to the onsen. After that change goes through, then in 2 months it's reevaluated. Um, but I'm sure that since the radium and bonsai pools are unique and a little bit different than the standard onsen pools, um, we could do like a faster response time to updating those numbers if the community wants it. Instead of doing the standard onsen, where they look at the pools like every 2 months, we'll have a closer relationship and communication between each team.
Closer communication would definitely be helpful. We're so who should we communicate with about this in the future or even now as we begin? yeah, as we move forward with this, where do we communicate with sushi people outside of town halls?
Yeah, I mean, you can contact Joseph, any of the core team members in the Discord. Uh, I'd also say that like I'm will be it's really like we're waiting on the cashy is because we want to time all these proposals together. Um, but we could get another meeting scheduled this week in order to talk between the two teams and give you guys a more concrete game plan for when the proposal is going to come out. Um, but um, yeah, like the Discord is really the best place to connect with people and contact them, in my opinion.
Sounds
Oh,
pretty good.
also just wanted to remind everybody and let everybody know that it's a totally open forum. So if anybody had any topics they wanted to bring up, you can feel free to try to say something or regardless. And for the Ray incentives, that also, I mean, it seems fine and seems very fair in that section. For the X sushi though, uh, how how did you guys think that that was going to function? Is it going to be swapping for the sushi on on a Solana, or is it going to be bridging the assets over to Ethereum and then swapping it over there?
I think the best way to do it to be swap it on Solana or on Radium because you guys wouldn't have these pairs for you wouldn't have these pairs trading pink sushi, right?
We wouldn't have the pair for. I guess we wouldn't have the pair for yeah, like the native Solana tokens. Yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So that sounds good. So it's basically going to be like do you guys have your own I'm assuming you're probably going to like basically copy the Ethereum X sushi bar router. No, I think it's like the Master Chef contract. Is that what handles it? Um, the contract that basically handles the X sushi fee routing. Were you guys going to move over a copy of the sushi contracts, or do you guys have your own contracts to handle the routing for the fees on that front?
To set something up for this. Because we would also have to talk about which bridge to go through on this to get the sushi back and where it would go. If it would go directly into the X sushi pools.
I see, gotcha. So there's multiple bridges that you guys know of?
A couple weeks ago, a project called Wormhole came out. They provide a bridge for two-way bridging of assets. And aside from that, there's also the standard solid bridge.
I see, gotcha. I've actually I gave Wormhole a look a couple days ago. It was looking pretty interesting. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so we'll just before the core proposal finally is posted with Kashi, uh, we'll schedule a meeting and discuss what the technical specifics, so you that the Radium team and the technical team of Sushi can discuss that and come to an agreement on what the best choices in terms of security. Um, but other than that, there was not really anything else, any issues or anything like that. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up or discuss or ask about, Alpha Ray? Also,
Not many
Orion.
changes. Yep,
Sorry.
there's not many changes on this, and I think um, that's really good that we don't have to make any changes. It'd just be a lot of details on how to implement these things. I was thinking one thing, if we could do 12 pairs for 300 AP instead of 10 pairs for 250, because we've been talking to a few projects and we do see a lot of stuff starting to come out on Solana. This would just give us a little bit more time to deal with getting things running up and running rather than coming back to you guys or trying to expand this really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally 12 pairs at 300 AP can be done. Um, it's yeah, it's a minor modification to the 10 pairs at 250. So I don't see too much of an issue there getting people on board with that. Yeah, and 12 is also my lucky number, so you know, you picked a good number.
So lucky numbers.
Orion, sorry, I didn't want to. I felt like I maybe was steamrolling over you that entire time. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up?
I had some curiosity on like if they've done any modeling for this, if there's any like APYs they're shooting for with these numbers versus the total locked value. Um, just to know, I mean, obviously there was this misunderstanding on the total amount of allocation points that Sushi Swap had, but what research had been done to determine the figures that they determined was my curiosity.
Yeah, we actually do have a pretty large Excel sheet that extends. We have a chart on the governance proposal, but it actually extends out pretty far, and we do model out the TVL, the expected TVL, and the APY on these. So, according to our original TVL or like our original model, we were looking at about we were looking at about 180 million to 200, 620 million um, TVL in total, and then we were looking at about 40 to 60% APY in there if you add sushi and Ray together.
And you said 60, is that 60% APY? Is that like the sushi plus ray yield, or is that just like the overall plus fees, or is that just the
Sushi plus Ray yield.
gotcha. Yeah, Ray, in just because we're talking right now, what is sort of the Radium's team's availability this coming week?
A, for a call, or is this for
Yeah, for
doing?
a call.
We're pretty available. I mean, it's 5 a.m. for over here right now.
Oh, it's fine. I didn't realize this was such a terrible time for you guys. Oh, I
Yeah,
feel bad.
it's okay. We're in Hong Kong time with Sam, like Sam time.
Okay. Well, okay, well, cool. Yeah, I will definitely be getting back to you on that. And yeah, I mean that's about it on the bonsai. I'm also will be reaching out to the sushi house team, so the Yam finance team basically. Um to talk to them about the sushi house proposal that is also going to be planned for to be launched in the core snapshot section when Kashi goes live. Um, so that is also on the table. Yeah, so I mean, Alpha Ray, if there are any other questions or things that you wanted to bring up, feel free to bring it up. I'm probably going to move on to some discussion about other topics, but thank you for coming out, and also, feel free to either stick around or leave, or speak up at any point that you think of something, or whatever it is.
Please
Sorry,
stick
I
around
have a
for
quick question that Alpha may be interested in hearing the answer to. That's for the sushi team, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Okay.
totally open forum here. Feel free to say whatever you want.
So on the Discord and the forums, a topic that's come up with a number of community members is the weight of SBF's vote in terms of sushi voting power.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, because it skews the vote so heavily, it's really polarizing some members of the community. So, but I also think that the vote is clear even if you remove his votes. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if we could get the data, the voting data, maybe with SBF and maybe some other large team players removed, just so the community can see really how they all voted in aggregate.
So basically, the easiest one to remove is SPF, right? He is 14 million and 9 sushi power. And that would be the most straightforward one. The other ones, we're not really sure on which ones are who, but there's also, this vote also had record turnout, right? This thing has 708 votes on it, which is pretty large as far as sushi proposals on Snapshot. I flipped through a few of the core ones. They're at about, they peak out around 200-ish.
Yeah.
So there's a
I
lot of really small voters on this too.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to create a conspiracy theory, but I don't know who is voting on a snapshot with 0.01 sushi. And I don't and there's 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, 0.05, and it goes up and up and up. And it's like, you know, who, like, who are these wallets really? Like, what is this? But, maybe that's a real person. Maybe, I don't, it's definitely not proof of anything there. And I'm still very positive on bonsai. I think it's a great idea. Um, but some of those numbers, you do have to sort of take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Uh, yeah, so I'm looking through a lot of the addresses right now, and they are. I can tell you we didn't game anything on this, and there's no reason to split up small votes into 0.1, 0.2.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
we were
it
going to do
doesn't.
anything about it, it would
Wouldn't.
at least put in a few hundred, a few thousand, and we're look suspicious, right? There's a lot of really interesting names on these voting
Yeah,
addresses.
I
So
saw that as well.
heterosexuals.eth, homosexuals.eth, diamondpoker.eth. So I'm not really sure where these guys are coming from. But the really small ones, as it gets past one or two sushi, it all seems a bit more regular as well. But yeah, I can't say where the tiny ones are coming from or those ones with the funny names. But I flipped through a few of the wallets where there's just a lot of people like 2.03 or whatever, and they look pretty regular to me as well, though.
Okay, okay, that's good to hear. I didn't. I looked at the small ones, but I did not click on the wallets of like the ones and twos and threes and like up to 5, I think. But yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think that's good, and I eyeballed it earlier, and I'm convinced that there's around at least 2.5 to 3 yeses to nos if you remove Sam's wallet and you know sort of normalize minus 2 or 3 standard deviations out. So that's good, and I'm obviously for it. But this does just keep coming up, so maybe I'm not volunteering myself here, but like if somebody could take like a 5-minute look and just say we're sure that the community has voted yes on this.
Yeah, you mean like some sort of like post on the forums, I guess, or something like that related to it.
Yeah, something visible.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah. That's a smart idea. Well, I'll see if there's some sort of easy analytics way to look at the voters and then just remove, Sam's wallet.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you very much.
Orion, was there any topics that you wanted to bring up before I move on?
Not in particular. I do feel like in these type of situations where you have a mass holder with kind of financial like incentives for this, it does pull up a interesting discussion. I know that Cream, obviously not the standard of how things should be done with the recent exploits with them, but they were developing a time-weighted average of holding, and obviously with Sam that doesn't work, but it does bring up the kind of discussion of snapshot voting and some of the limitations and some of the issues with it. So I think that this is a good topic to keep in mind for the future DeFi.
Yeah, I know on the 2021 sort of uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Community roadmap.
Yes. The 2021 roadmap, they do have as one of the, I don't know if it's like medium, like midway through 2021 or by the end of 2021, some sort of upgrade to the governance system. It's interesting about the time-weighted uh, governance system that you were talking about with Cream. I haven't looked at all into that. I haven't even heard about that, but I would assume that that would make whales worse, right? Because like and any whale that was early on both got it for cheap and then would, well, I guess with Cream actually, if you were in early, you actually purchased it for a premium at the time. But
Yeah, no, I don't think it does address the whale. It was more because they're a lending platform, and I guess Sushi is about to be as well, that if you just have an important governance and then someone can just borrow a shit ton of sushi,
oh, I
it
see,
skews the results.
yeah. I see. That makes sense.
Um, yeah, what was I gonna say in reference to that? Yeah, but I lost a point.
No worries. And so the other proposal that I was going to be bringing up, this is not on Snapshot, and I don't think there's any sort of immediate plans for this one to move forward, but it is still an interesting proposal that has been floating around the community for honestly months. Is the Y Cabal Sushi Swap Miner Extracted Value Strategy made by Sambaka or Sambacha. I don't actually know how you're supposed to pronounce it. So summary, introduce a permissioned RPC network layer connected to MEV enabled mining pools so that we can aggregate transactions en route to be mined, analyze them, create the necessary arbitrage transactions from those aggregated transactions, and batch and batch send them to the minting pools. Arbitrage profits are then refunded back to the originating users, up to 90% of their gas costs. So the idea here is that you would send your transaction order, like you would send your order, your swap information, like the order that you want to place, to uh, this basically side chain, I believe. And this network would aggregate all a bunch of transactions together, and then basically purposefully extract or like use miner extracted value to generate revenue for that uh, the the Y cabal, I guess is what it's called. And then 50% of that goes back to sushi traders, and then the other 50% of it gets shared between the different participants in the network. And so the idea there is that you can achieve like nearly gas free, because it's being refunded, transactions by harvesting the miner extracted value. But it's a pretty complicated system. It's very interesting to read into, and it's been, like I said, something that's been continually posted to the forums for like months. Have you read anything about this Y Cabal, Ryan?
Just when it first got on our forum, and it did seem a little bit over my head. I kind of in my mind labeled it maybe somewhat similar to the positive slippage of the 1-inch decks or something. And I kind of I think that it addresses this issue that's a huge problem for Ethereum of front-running bots and stuff. And it seems like we're kind of taking advantage of a certain need or a problem in the ecosystem. If I am I could be completely off. I haven't looked at this for over a month. Um, so I think it's interesting. It seems like it's very complex, and when you have a decentralized organization like SushiSwap, um, other than like personally taking on the brainchild of this and having this be their responsibility, it's hard to kind of when you have a team with a really bold roadmap, have them take on something like this. Yeah, it's but it's interesting, and it looks at a genuine problem if I'm understanding it right.
Yeah, it definitely does offer, a very interesting value proposition. It's just want to make sure all the that it's going to make sense, from like a efficiency point of view, to try to focus on it. Um, Something that boring crypto said in the forums is, so so now if I use SushiSwap, I have a smallish chance that someone sandwiches my transaction and I lose an additional 0.5% in slippage. But since this only happens once every 30 transactions or so, the average miner extracted value loss is 0.017%. And he says, it seems that this proposal would guarantee a sandwich, forcing a loss of 0.5% on every transaction, but they will be giving 50% of the money back. So it's effectively 0.25% slippage from miner extracted value on average. Um, and they responded and said that it's handled by the system, and the the arbitrage, or they say the profit is realized not only from arbitrage within SushiSwap, but the referenced intervening transactions between batches also execute to realize gains on other dexes. So I guess it's saying that there's more slippage that you're taking or more minor extracted value that you're taking advantage of than just the sushi ecosystem. But yeah, this is something that needs to be, I think, baked in the oven for a little bit longer. Looks very interesting though.
Yeah, hearing Boring's explanation, it kind of like makes me question, oh, is where are these arbitrage attacks happening? Because you say it only happens 1 out of every 5 or 10 of them. What type of trades specifically are they? It seems like it might be more available to like larger issue trades with but yeah, I have no idea. So I wonder if there's even like parameters that could be done to where it's not ensuring that 0.05% every time, but is specifically targeting in that 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 times. But again, yeah, that it's a lot of research. And in the community roadmap, they said, hey, give us your most abstract, hard to accomplish ideas. So when you ask for something like that and someone gives you something innovative, we don't have much innovation in this industry. So at the same time, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Actually, if I could weigh
go
in
ahead.
here on when these trades happen, we've actually done some research on them as well. Trades happen during larger market movements and when people use less gas fees. There's actually a few bots on Ethereum that are already built in. You can just deploy yourself, which can arbitrage these. It's basically when you catch people, it requires a bit of work though. You set up your own Ethereum node and basically you look in the mempool to see if you can find trades where you can just run them a little. Basically, where people use less gas fees than what you would be willing to throw down. And the trade is for a decent sized market movement. Usually, for to be profitable, the market movement would have to be somewhere above 1 to 2%. Of
Very cool.
course,
Thank you, Ray.
there's also bots. There's probably smarter ones out there or faster ones out there where you don't need 1 or 2% market movements. I think some of the Ethereum ones they capture less than 1%, and they're still able to be pretty profitable.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty impressive that they can do arbitrage on less than. I mean, I guess it depends on like the amount of capital you're working with. It's an impressive that they can do the arbitrage trades on Ethereum for sometimes less than 1% difference and still eke out profit.
I also find it interesting that the edge from running your own Ethereum node, and I think of like Cream or Staker, or these things that just have these giant amass rocket pool, these giant amass of people going in on these nodes and providing a node as a service. And Cream's example, um, that it might be providing these people with these huge edges that they can then lease out to other people. It's amazing how much opportunity there is. Um, Dealing with these new technologies.
Yeah, and okay, so I'm gonna go on to the news. So I'm sure most people know this by now, but just to announce it, Cashy was delayed on Friday, and it will be launching sometime this week. Like this time for real. Okay. And contracts have been deployed to mainnet on Ethereum, Ropsten, Kovan, Rinkeby, Gorelli, testnets, Binance Smart Chain, and the Binance Smart Chain testnet, Phantom, the Hiko and Hiko testnet, Matic, and the Mumbai testnet, and then also XDAI Stake. So the contracts are just there mainly for stress testing purposes and just to be ready for the UI. But the UI is not live yet. That is super exciting. So we've got that this week for sure, for sure. Additionally, we have XSushi up for vote in Maker governance to be added as a collateral. That is super oh, sorry, I just hit my mic. Sorry. That it's super desirable and basically long overdue. Well, I won't say long overdue because maker governance is like one of the strictest sort of in terms of security and vetting collateral types. They're pretty up there. Um, but that is extremely exciting. If it's added, then you'll be able to use XSushi to mint DAI at a 2% interest rate, I believe, is what it's set at.
Yeah, I find that really exciting, especially I know that when we had Maki on a few weeks ago that he expressed interest in the model of using some sushi. Of course, this is X sushi, which he doesn't want to dilute our X sushi pools, but he had expressed interest in using a lending platform to borrow on our sushi in order to farm it to kind of create more um, revenue for our
Oh,
treasury.
yeah, that would be excellent. That'd be basically a place that we could sit some of our treasury just to mint DAI. That'd be amazing. And not even convert it. Well, wait. Oh, because it is X sushi. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to. I don't. I don't know. We'll have to build a wrapper for an X sushi vault that redirects the X sushi profits back to the sushi bar, so that something like that. I don't know. Um,
The thing that comes with my mind, sorry to interrupt there, is you can just have a calculated buyback and burn off of what you make from the X sushi revenue. Wouldn't that kind of be similar?
yeah, I think functionally that would be equivalent. Though there is the thing that like burning tokens is a little bit undesirable. Um, but I think that would be functionally equivalent. But yeah, that's something to keep our eyes on. MakerDAO, just look it up on Twitter, and you'll see like on the one of their most recent tweets talking about the governance um, vote that's active. And so moving on, we have sushi contracts launched on Avalanche, which is pretty awesome. It's a low cost side chain for DeFi. Um, Check it out. And we also have an article by Ryan S. Adams from Bankless, The Case for $100 Sushi. And this is just a quote. SushiSwap has been around for close to a year and has seen a reliable user base with a fairly transparent team and governance structure. Uh, as such, the risk should not be too significantly higher than similar endeavors. And this is referring to early stage startups, sort of comparing the P&L discount and such metrics against other early stage startups. That's definitely a great article to read. You can check it out at Ryan S. Adams on Twitter. Uh, be in his feed. And we also had a another article. It was a big week for articles on sushi. Sushi, the little roll I never saw coming. What a title. And this is another evaluation article, basically looking at the price. Oh no, what is my brain's blanking? What is PNS? Uh, price to sales ratio. Yeah, they're talking about price to sales ratio and doing a token valuation. It's a good article to read. You can check it out at BUHLAQUE on Twitter. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. Bulak, I guess. Um, did you read any of those articles, Orion, or also anybody else who's listening in?
Yeah, I definitely read the Bankless one and thought it was really well written and was like, I was like, yes, I don't know if this is sponsored content, but this is the type of like marketing that we really need, where people do in-depth analysis that shows how we're undervalued to the competition and are putting it in places where the world is seeing it. So it it gave me it just gave me nice warm positive feelings.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like if like anybody who's ever done like sort of like the standard typical valuation of a token, looking at like the protocol revenue versus um the value basically being distributed. Um like sushi has like historically like always been undervalued. Like to the point where it just, like, it didn't make any sense, and I mean, I obviously, we're seeing the price rise now, but it was it was really interesting, especially, like, you know, like, I'm thinking, like, November 2020, like, it was just insane that how the price of the token compared to, any form of, uh of standard valuation. Uh, yeah, it was just interesting. It's funny to see a lot of people recognizing the value now. And
Yeah, the sad truth is there's just not that many like protocols that are generating serious amounts of revenue. And when you look at that aspect in the business world, that's one of the most important criteria. We're killing it. So, yes.
G I just wanted to say that yeah, you can totally ask questions or say whatever you want. It's meant to be a totally open like live event for just community members of sushi.
Cool, cool. First time here. Um, I've obviously been following the project for a long time, but first time in your guys' Discord. I was just wondering if you guys had more info on the Avalanche implementation. I don't think there's any incentive right now to provide liquidity, and I was wondering if you had plans for bridging different projects.
Yeah, right now I believe that so yeah, there's no cross-chain incentives yet. I believe Bonsai will be the first sort of cross-chain incentive implementation that Sushi will be experimenting in with and going with. But I do think that, there's, a wide base of positive sentiment for incentivizing multiple different side chains and things like Avalanche. But yeah, right now, all the contracts that are deployed across different side chains and things like that are all just sort of just like the base contract, so people can like make pools if they want. If they have liquidity, they can make a pool, they can interact, they can trade in those pools, stuff like that. But there's no staking incentives right now. Yeah, as you
Do
were
you know if
saying.
there's an analytics page for other chains?
Ooh, I think that is not done yet, or is like not been made yet. Um, that is definitely something that a lot of people have been asking for, though.
Hmm.
Um, I yeah yeah that is something that needs to get worked out because it is like super important to be able to like be tracking and be having like some finger on the pulse of those different side chain sushi swap pairs.
Right. Do
Yeah,
you
while we
consider?
have Alpha, sorry to interrupt. Um, yeah, you just continue.
I was just gonna ask if you consider Avalanche to be a side chain.
Um, do you it's am
I
I
mean,
getting it mixed up with AVAX?
they, no, AVAX it's Avalanche, but they're branding themselves as an L1 or L0, similar to Cosmos or Polkadot. yeah, not
I guess
they
maybe
have
maybe I just use the term sidechain a little loosely. You can still interact with it with MetaMask, right? Like different RPC network.
yeah, it supports the EVM. It has multiple chains, and one of them supports the EVM. So,
Gotcha.
all the tools and everything. There's already a couple of Uniswap clones on there. I think 5 already. So it's cool to have Sushi on board, but until we have bridges or an incentive layer, it'll just remain a clone, I guess, on there.
There's no bridge? I thought there was a bridge.
There's a bridge, yeah. The official bridge, I think it's well, it's more. It was developed by Pangolin, so which is another DEX there, and I guess
Oh, are they gonna
Avalanche.
blacklist sushi tokens?
No, I don't. No, I think Sushi's already on there. It was one of the first tokens, and it was
Oh, okay, that's cool.
an airdrop for all the Sushi holders and Uni
Oh,
holders.
that's right. I think I remember the pangolin stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So sorry. That's probably just a mistake on my end. Using the term sidechain a little bit loosely. I use the term sidechain to refer to anything that like any network that is you can use MetaMask to connect to and is trying to solve the scaling issues of Ethereum. Is I
Right.
sort of but I probably shouldn't, to be honest. So yeah, thanks for calling me out on that.
Wasn't meant to be a call out.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious to Geom if I have one thing for Geom. Is does the Pangolin have an analytics page like that up?
Yeah, they do. So I think there's right now there's Pangolin. They have a bridge with Ethereum. There's Complus. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Complus, which has bridges to the Binance Smart Chain and Huobi chain, which are also EVM chains. I think they're developing their own bridge, but there's not much info in there. And then there's a couple others that are maybe shadier. Zero, which is the second biggest one, I think, right now. And they're also developing their bridge to Polkadot and Ethereum. And yeah, a few others. And I think they all have an analytics page.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I think I don't know. I think I don't want to be wrong on this, but I thought that the Zapper guy is the person who developed the SushiSwap analytics page, but I might be wrong on that. And I feel like it would be pretty both useful and very convenient and nice from a UI perspective to just have like a tab that you can click on to switch sort of what network you are looking at in terms of analytics. But yeah.
Yeah, or even one that you can search for specific tokens or networks.
Yeah, we'd be able to look at like the actual pairs on each side chain, or layer one chain. Sorry, I'm working
Sounds
on
fine.
it. There is it ChartX? I'm not a holder of enough chart tokens to do it, but I know that they offer analytics pages for Binance Smart Chain, whereas Pancake has been down for almost a month straight in terms of their analytics page. So I don't know. I doubt they have many other networks other than ETH and BSC, but that's the one thing that comes to mind. And on the topic of analytics page, I hadn't kind of been to our analytics page, and you linked in the outline to it, and I just was really blown away by just how it looked. I mean, it's nothing that special, but I just really liked the look of the analytics.sushi.com. Was looking pretty fresh.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The analytics side is great. It's where you want to look if you're trying to figure out, what you want to build LP as, and where you want to deploy your liquidity, or if you're just tracking the general performance of Sushi. And sort of on that topic, we have nearly flipped Uniswap in terms of liquidity dominance. I think we're like less than 100 million down from Uniswap's liquidity right now. We've been sort of neck and neck this entire week. It's pretty exciting, and yeah, like that's never happened. But our volume still needs to get the fuck up there, though. It's lagged behind our liquidity.
Yeah, I had the awesome experience of I don't know if anyone knows DeFiYield.info. It's kind of a yield farming website, but you know how DeFi Pulse has like maker dominance because that's the most dominant one in terms of total value locked. Well, when I on their website, it had sushi dominance. So just to see that was pretty sweet. And we are listed on top of Uniswap on DeFi Pulse. Obviously, DeFi Pulse is pretty bad with their data. They still have like yearn at 300K total value locked, which is like a third of the real figure. But yeah, sushi dominance just felt so good to see.
Yeah, and uh oh, also sorry, this is just this was like out of place. But I wanted to announce that March 20, if you missed this on Twitter, Mackie sort of made like an unofficial announcement that March 29th is when the vesting for, or like the contract for the vested sushi will be available for people. Um, and I believe the current plan is to have that uh, be released all in 1 month. So basically, once a week for 4 weeks, you'll get your vested sushi. So, like, say you staked during the first month and a half, then on that first week you'll be able to claim all that sushi, um, and so on and so forth for the first 6 months, and then after this vesting uh, period is done, then there won't be any more 2/3 vested 6 months later from now. It will just be like a boost to the APYs in general, in terms of the amount of sushi you can get. I was curious, like, if anybody had any opinions on that or thoughts one way or the other.
Not on that specifically, but is there a process for adding pairs to which pairs are incentivized? The
Yeah,
liquidity pool?
yeah. There's a Google document I can send it to you, that teams can basically fill out and apply, and then the Sushi Swap team looks at that every week on Friday, and then reaches out to the projects to onboard them if they're looking good. Basically, they look at like the market cap of the token. They try to make sure it's a legit project, and they also try to, it's they don't try to, like, discourage projects from reaching out. We're trying to uh, basically put projects on a pedestal by being incentivized, and so we try to look at projects that will bring good trade volume as well. But uh,
Is
you know.
is there a voting process on top of that after, or is it just
No, it's basically controlled by the core team. I think they vote internally or some sort of process like that, but there's no governance process to update the onsen.
and for the proposal itself, do you need a certain amount of sushi to
Yeah. So for or do you mean for the application?
yeah. Yeah.
I
Well, I mean, like, say if I wanted to add a certain pair, say
Oh, if you wanted
on
to
a
add a
different
pair.
L1, yeah, to I don't know, add incentive layer to the AVAX sushi pool?
Well, so
How could that be done?
if you want it to be an incentivized pair, it would have to it would have to um you're talking about an incentivized pair on Avalanche?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that would have to be a proposal of some sort. Um if it is I mean, you could also try to reach out through the onsen sort of channels and see what response you get from there. But I believe the onsen is really intended as like a Ethereum thing, and then any other chains or layer ones that get incentivized has to be a sort of formal governance process. Um, but yeah, I can send you some links and let you know who to get in contact to
Yeah,
after the
sure.
sushi forum if you're interested in that.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, yep.
And a little added note on that. I believe the application to get onto Onsen, the teams are supposed to put in like 1,000 sushi or something. But that A
I think
was
it's
with
like
a much
2
different
ETH.
sushi price. Yeah, 2 ETH
Yeah.
or 1,000 sushi. That was before sushi shot up. And then I think they haven't necessarily been doing that for everyone. I could be mistaken on that, but yeah, I don't think it's as cut and dry as it first said. So in the proposal.
Is that
Gotcha.
a deposit, or is it something you get back after, or is it
No,
spent?
it's a one-time deposit to the Sushi ETH pool, so it
Mm.
basically contributes to the Sushi liquidity. It's the intention there is to stop or discourage like a lot of overhead
Yeah.
for the team to be sorting through a lot of projects. And so other news is that the Sushi Swap merch made in collaboration with Element Blocks will be available for only one more day. You can check that out on Sushi NFT or at Sushi NFT. That is the Twitter account. Um, the Element Blocks stuff, I did look at it, but I've never gotten anything from them, and I've never didn't know about them prior. Seems like they do sort of NFT stuff branded as elements. So sushi is SU.
I would have gone with sus.
Yeah. Yeah, with a sus with a like a red Among Us guy or a pink Among Us guy, I guess. Um And also, huge news is that the Coinbase customers can log in now to buy, sell, convert, send, receive, or store sushi tokens. Also, Matic and SKL, but who cares about those? It's all about the sushi, which is exciting. And Coinbase is pretty huge. It's like the I don't know what is the term, like a golden goose. I think Coinbase getting listed on Coinbase is like the golden goose for a lot of projects.
The goose that lays the golden egg.
Oh, the goose. It's not a golden goose. It's a that makes sense. That makes sense, man.
I
Um
would just take a golden goose because that's pretty good as well. Probably weighs a lot more than like at least 10 golden goose eggs.
yeah. Yeah. And so last announcements is that there will be a onsen AMA Thursday, March 18th at 10 a.m. PST for the Secret Network. Um, that they're like a I believe they're a DAO for basically private transactions on DeFi dApps. So yeah, it's great project that you should attend. I believe they'll be giving out some secret token rewards for people who come out and ask questions. So yeah. And then also this past week we had 3 different AMAs, with one with Strudel Finance, one with Stakehound, and one with Neutrino Protocol. Those can all be listened to on the Sushi Forum YouTube channel. And then like a sub announcement about that, the Sushi Forum YouTube channel is actually is going to be rebranded in the next week or two. No specifics on what the rebrand is going to be, but the channel is going to be rebranded. The Sushi Forum stays the same. The Onsen AMAs stay the same, but yeah, it'll be a different YouTube channel. Yeah, and so that is all the news and everything that I've got this week. If anybody wants to bring anything up or ask any questions, feel free to do that now. Don't want to stomp over anybody's question.
We never gave any props to our partner Bowman for getting set up on the XDAI chain. That's all up and running now. So let's give a little shout out to our ecosystem partners.
Yeah, they got what about Sushi? Oh wait, they contribute on the XDAI side for Sushi.
Yeah, I just remembered that there was some sort of collaboration going, and I think in specifically for trying to get set up on XDAI cross-chain stuff, there was some collaboration going on, and noticed that we also launched our router on XDAI. So I'm like, is there something brewing
Oh
up
yeah,
between
I
those two?
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. They probably, the reason for that is because they had that X Sushi pool on Bao where you could stake X Sushi, and they probably wanted to replicate that on XDAI, and so that's probably how they were coordinating to make sure that there weren't creating 2 versions of the X Sushi token on XDAI, right? But yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have anything else. Thank you everybody for coming out this week. Thank you Alpha Ray for coming out again and talking with us, and thank you for all the work the Radium teams put forward on the bonsai proposal, and also for your guys' patience with Sushi. I think, or I don't think, but a lot of the delay has come down to the team working on Kashi and really wanting to make sure that they get this out.
No worries. Thank you for having us on. You guys
Yes.
find a different time for this. I'm happy to be on more often as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, and so I'll be pinging you probably today or tomorrow, Alpha, about details in terms of the meeting. And yeah, so thank you everybody for coming out. Stay safe, and I will talk to you next week.
Adios.